Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Kiki Elseniarti and my partner Maulidina Azara. We are from Group 4. We'll explain about language system. So, the first material will be delivered by my partner Maulidina Azara.
So guys, before we discuss about that, we should know about what is language system. According to Hopper, 1987, language system as a set of abstract structures present for all speaker and hearers that is a prerequisite for the use of language. Okay, in here, we will discuss about concept, research, and application of grammatical structure and core vocabulary. Okay, the first is concept. In traditional textbook teaching, grammar and vocabulary teaching are taught separately as if they were separate areas of teaching and learning. The grammatical structure is taught first and then a list of keywords is presented separately on the grounds that you are just a vehicle for explaining grammatical structures. What this approach fails to demonstrate is the relationship that exists between vocabulary and grammar. Susan Hanston, Gil Francis, and Elizabeth Manning suggest in an article on grammar and vocabulary menunjukkan koneksi bahwa semua kata memiliki pola dan guru harus fokus pada pengajaran pola ini sebagai cara untuk mendorong 4 aspek penting pembelajaran bahasa, diantaranya pemahaman, akurasi, dan fleksibilitas. Pola-pola ini berkontribusi pada pengajaran tata bahasa dan kosakata, karena struktur tata bahasa dan kosakata ini memiliki kesinambungan. And for the next discussion, there is research. An EAP-oriented research project aimed to assess whether first students from various disciplines at Indonesia universities have a sufficiently developed English vocabulary for academic study purposes. Studi ini menyelidiki seberapa baik siswa mengetahui satu set item kosakata inti. Hal ini bertujuan untuk mengetahui berapa banyak kata yang diketahui siswa dan pemahaman mereka tentang jangkauan penggunaan kata-kata tersebut. Penelitian ini mengukur pengetahuan siswa tentang item kosakata dalam daftar layanan umum. The former represent the 2,000 most frequently used words in the English language and the latter comprises the 800 subtechnical words commonly used in academic English. Researchers estimate that 2,800 words from the combined list constitute important reading vocabulary because these words account for about 92% of the words in academic type text. To test the size of students' vocabulary, words from a combined list are given in sentences. The students were asked to provide translation in their first language of the target word. Untuk menguji kedalaman pengetahuan siswa, di sini siswa disajikan beberapa item yang ditargetkan dan ditambahkan daftar kata lain. Beberapa di antaranya secara semantik terkait atau maknanya mirip dengan item yang ditargetkan. Siswa diminta untuk mengidentifikasi kata-kata terkait tersebut. Selain itu, siswa diminta untuk membuat kalimat menggunakan item yang ditargetkan. The results show that on average, students knew only 60% of the first 1,000 most frequently used words in English, 37% of the second 100 words, and only 30% of university word lists. In general, they knew an average 1,226 or 44% of the 2,800 words on the combined list and could correctly identify less than 2 of the 4 related words. They do not have a vocabulary size of 4,000 until 5,000, the level generally considered necessary of academic text. Okay, for the last discussion, there is application. Teachers should apply vocabulary items and grammatical structures with techniques to facilitate their learning. Because without vocabulary, there would be no production, and without grammar, there would be no accuracy in production. Dalam pengaplikasian grammatical structure and core vocabulary ini, memiliki dua pendekatan yang dimana masing-masing dari mereka memiliki keunggulan. Pendekatan terserah lain ada inductive approach dan deductive approach. Yang pertama kita bahas inductive approach. This approach is suitable when teachers have limited time with their students. Students are expected to be able to take the basic of lesson that support pattern recognition and problem-solving skills, and use them to continue to identify and learn new grammatical structures long after the course is complete. Another major advantage of the inductive approach is that the rules that students discover for themselves are more likely to conform to their existing mental structures than the rules that have been presented to them. This in turn makes the rules more meaningful, memorable, and useful. Jadi pembelajaran ini akan dapat mengakses aturan yang dipelajari melalui pendekatan induktif dalam kegiatan sehari-hari mereka dan memanipulasi kosakata di sekitar aturan ini untuk menanggapi dan bereaksi terhadap situasi yang berbeda. And the last second, there is deductive approach. In some cases, it may be necessary to use a more deductive approach to grammar teaching. Such as for difficult grammatical structures, the learner may spend a great deal of time and energy trying to construct rules. In addition to the heavy cognitive load that some rules require, learners often make hypotheses about the wrong rules, or their version of the rules may be too broad or too narrow. According to Noonan 2004, the provision of examples gives students the opportunity to formulate their own rules by identifying patterns, while the inclusion of a brief description of the appropriate situation to use the target structure guides students towards the path of when they should use a particular grammatical structure. Kombinasi ini memungkinkan guru untuk mengajar tata bahasa dengan cara yang tidak hanya efisien waktu, tetapi juga efisien dalam mendidik pembelajar agar lebih mandiri.
And then the next material is about pattern of text organization. In this material, we will discuss three material. That is concept, and then research, and the last is application. The first material is about concept in pattern of text organization. Text can be defined as a language path. Scholars argue that the language is inherently ambiguous, distinguish between external and internal ambiguity. External ambiguity is related to the context in which the meaning of is interpreted. Internal ambiguity is related to how part the text relate to each other. Early interest by linguistics in how people interpreted and dealt with external ambiguity in text lead to the notion of schema and script. These are described by Howe. One typical pattern of text organization is cause and result. To interpret a text, the reader or listener relies on his or her knowledge of the way that parts are organized in text. Like description of sentence-level grammar, description of pattern of text organization highlight what are assumed to be core features of language. Jadi, teks itu dapat didefinisikan sebagai jalur bahasa. Scholar berpendapat bahwa bahasa secara inherent ambigu dapat dibedakan menjadi ambiguitas eksternal dan internal. Ambiguitas eksternal itu terkait dengan konteks di mana makna itu ditafsirkan, dan ambiguitas internal itu terkait dengan bagaimana bagian-bagian teks saling berhubungan. Ketertarikan awal oleh ahli bahasa tentang bagaimana orang menafsirkan dan menangani ambiguitas eksternal dalam teks mengarah pada gagasan skema dan skrip. Ini dijelaskan oleh Howe. Salah satu pola organisasi teks adalah sebab dan akibat. Untuk menafsirkan sebuah teks, pembaca atau pendengar bergantung pada pengetahuannya tentang cara bagian-bagian yang diatur dalam teks. Secara deskripsi, tata bahasa tingkat kalimat, deskripsi pola organisasi teks menyoroti apa yang dianggap sebagai fitur inti bahasa. And then, the next is about research. Kobayashi report on a study investigate difference in US and Japanese college student use of general specific patterns. Study involved four groups of students. The first, US college students. The second is Japanese advanced ESL student in the United States. Third is English major in Japan. And the last is non-English majors in Japan. Jadi, dalam research ini, Kobayashi itu melaporkan bahwa sebuah penelitian untuk menyelidiki perbedaan penggunaan pola umum khusus antara mahasiswa Amerika Serikat dan Jepang. Penelitian ini melibatkan 4 kelompok, yaitu mahasiswa Amerika Serikat, yang kedua itu mahasiswa ESL tingkat lanjut Jepang di Amerika, yang ketiga mahasiswa jurusan bahasa Inggris di Jepang, dan yang keempat itu mahasiswa jurusan non-Inggris di Jepang. In this research, Group 1 to 3 wrote in English and Group 4 wrote in Japanese. The group writing of the same narrative and expository essay text was examined for use a general specific patterns. Results showed difference between the group. Group 1 mostly used a general specific pattern. Group 4 mostly used a specific general pattern. And group 2nd and 3rd use both of this pattern, but group 3 use the specific general pattern more often. Dalam penelitian ini, kelompok 1 sampai kelompok 3 itu menulis dalam bahasa Inggris, dan untuk kelompok 4 itu menulis dalam bahasa Jepang. Penulisan kelompok dari tugas esai naratif itu yang sama diperiksa untuk penggunaan pola umum khusus. Ini menunjukkan perbedaan antara kelompok. Untuk kelompok 1 paling banyak menggunakan pola umum khusus, dan kelompok 4 itu kebanyakan menggunakan pola umum khusus juga. Untuk kelompok 2 dan 3 menggunakan kedua pola ini, tetapi kelompok 3 itu lebih sering menggunakan pola khusus dan khusus umum. The result indicated that one source of lack of coherence in Japanese learners written English is their preference for specific general rather than general specific text structure. Hasil dari penelitian ini menunjukkan bahwa salah satu sumber kurangnya koherensi dalam bahasa Inggris tertulis pelajar Jepang adalah preferensi mereka untuk struktur teks khusus umum daripada umum khusus. And then the last is application. Talk on how people interpret text can be associated with a top-down approach to teaching, reading, and listening comprehension in a second language. The top-down approach encourages learners to use background knowledge to understand the text. Pemikiran tentang bagaimana orang menafsirkan teks dapat dikaitkan dengan pendekatan top-down untuk mengajar pemahaman membaca dan mendengarkan dalam bahasa kedua. Pendekatan top-down itu mendorong peserta didik untuk menggunakan pengetahuan latar belakang untuk memahami teks. This hypothesis help you understand and interpret the text as you continue reading. From a top-down perspective, background knowledge can take several forms, including knowledge of discourse topic, situation, and script. Teachers of such students may want to teach them about common patterns of text organization to help deal with the ambiguity that arises in the interpretation of text. Hipotesis ini membantu kita untuk memahami dan menafsirkan teks saat akan melanjutkan membaca. Dari pendekatan top-down ini, latar belakang pengetahuan dapat mengambil beberapa bentuk, termasuk pengetahuan tentang topik wacana, situasi, dan skrip. Guru dari siswa ingin mengajari mereka tentang pola umum organisasi teks untuk membantu menangani ambiguitas yang muncul dalam interpretasi teks.
Okay guys, maybe enough from our group. We explanation about language system. Sorry if we make a mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.